Hey viewers, today we're going to talk about 3 words that this golfer uses that will help you transform your golf game. Let's dive in. After the last round at the 2026 3M tournament, the TV camera zoomed in on the winner's golf glove. What it found wasn't a swing thought. It was 3 words: confidence, trust, and dominate. The player wearing that glove was 21 years old. It was his 3rd start as a professional. And by the end of the day, he'd beaten the best golfer alive by 3 shots and broke the tournament scoring record. His name is Jackson KOIVUN. And before you write this off as another motivational glove cliche, sit with one detail. He didn't invent these words in the final round. He'd been writing some version of them since his freshman year of college. The insight here is that by the time those 3 words mattered the most, on the biggest stage of his life, they weren't hope. They were evidence. That's the entire subject of this video. Not the words themselves, but the order they go in, and why almost every amateur golfer who tries to copy this gets that order backwards. Okay, let's dive into part 1. The setup. Let's get the facts straight first, because they matter for what's coming. KOIVUN arrived at TPC Twin Cities from an amateur career that produced 11 college victories and a scoring average of 68. And he'd already shown at the US Open at Shinnecock Hills that he could hang with the pros. Finishing Colo Amateur with a final round of 68, 24 days after turning professional, he won. He shot 25 under, a new tournament scoring record, and did it while staring across the leaderboard at Scottie Scheffler, the #1 player in the world, who shot a final round 63 trying to catch him. As he was playing the back 9, KOIVUN could hear the crowd reacting to Scheffler closing the gap, and by his own account. He simply tuned it out, on the 18th hole, under that exact pressure. He found trouble off the tee and had to scramble. He poured in a 13-foot putt for par to close it out. That shot more than the Eagles or the 61 he'd shot the day before is the one worth studying, and fellow golfers. That's because it's the moment his 3 words actually had to work. Okay, viewers, let's start with the word most golfers already think they understand: confidence. Most amateur golfers treat confidence as a mood, something that shows up on a good day and disappears on a bad one. You stripe your opening tee shot and you feel it. You duck hook your second one and it's gone. That version of confidence is really just a reaction to your last shot. And viewers, building a pre-shot routine on top of a reaction is like building a house on a wave. KOIVUN'S version is different because of what's actually sitting behind the word on his glove. It's not feeling, but a file. 11 college wins. A scoring average nobody in NCAA history has matched. A habit going back to a coach's suggestion in his freshman year. Of physically writing the word down as a retrieval cue. The word itself isn't doing the work. It's a label on a folder that's already full. This is the same mechanism behind the framework we built an entire video around on this channel. Neurological Archiving. The idea that your brain doesn't run on positive thinking. It runs on retrievable evidence. The golfers who trust themselves under pressure aren't the ones who hype themselves up beforehand. They're the ones who've built a large, specific, retrievable file of proof that they can actually do this. Check out the Neurological Archiving. How elite golfers build real confidence video here. Here's the tip for your next round. Confidence isn't something you can talk yourself into on the first tee. It's something you either brought with you or you didn't. And for you viewers, that means the actual work happens away from the course. Every time you log a good shot, a good decision, a round where you did something right, even if the score didn't show it. Alright viewers, let's move on to the second word that Jackson wrote on his glove. And this is where it gets more interesting. Because trust is the word golfers misunderstand the most. Most players think trust means hoping the shot works out. It doesn't. Trust in the way sports psychology actually defines it. It's closer to a transaction. You make the decision before the shot. And you refuse to renegotiate with yourself during it. Think about what happens to most amateur golfers over the ball. They pick a club, a target, a shape, and then, in the 2 seconds before they swing, a second voice shows up. Maybe it's a soft draw instead. Maybe better take one more club. That second voice isn't caution. It's a withdrawal from the trust account you just opened. And it's a major reason technically sound golfers hit worse shots than their practice swing would suggest. And the science behind this is that the analytical brain is trying to run quality control on a motor skill in real time, and it is simply too slow for the job. This is exactly why Wyndham Clark's 2-word pre-shot mantra, Good process works the way it does, which we broke down fully in our previous video. And the insight here is that the entire function of a short verbal cue in the final seconds before a shot is to occupy the analytical part of your brain just enough that it can't interject with a better idea. It's not a magic word. It's a decoy. YouTube card cue, good process. Wyndham Clark's 2-word pre-shot cue, now go back to KOIVUN'S. 18th hole, a bad drive, a scramble. A 13-footer to close out the biggest win of his life. That is not a shot you make by hoping. It's a shot you make because the decision was already final before you looked up. So golfers, trust here isn't the absence of doubt, it's the refusal to let doubt. Vote. Twice. Okay, it's time now to move on to the final word Jackson scribbled on his glove, and it's a word everyone assumes they understand, and almost nobody does. Dominate. Here's the trap. Most golfers hear dominate and translate it into aggression. And you know what this looked like? Attack every pin, take on every hazard, play hero golf on a course that's begging you not to. And viewers, if that's what KOIVUN meant, stats line from the 3 meters open would look completely different. It doesn't. He led the field in strokes gained approach. He hit 61 of his 72 greens, made 24 birdies and 2 eagles, and importantly, only made 3 bogeys all week. That is not the box score of a player attacking blindly, it's the box score of a player in total control, converting the chances that were actually there and refusing to hand strokes back with unforced errors. So the concept of dominate here, in this context, isn't a strategy, it's a standard. The decision that good enough isn't the target. But as good as I can be is, that distinction dominant control versus dominant aggression is the same idea behind competitive identity as Armour, one of the 3 concepts we built the hostile environment protocol around. And the crux of this is that a strong competitive identity doesn't make you play more recklessly. It makes you play more calmly, because you're not negotiating with the moment, because you already know who you are inside it. Check out the competitive identity as Armour, the hostile environment protocol video link here and in description. KOIVUN landed on the word dominate with his short game coach, not after a loss, but after a conversation about what he actually wanted from his last stretch of college events, not just to win them, to dominate them. That's a standard you set for yourself in a quiet moment. Long before the cameras and the crowd and the leaderboard, that's the reason it held up when all 3 of those things showed up at once. Okay, let's look at how this can work for you in your golf game. Here's the part almost every golfer copying this glove gets wrong. They treat the 3 words as 3 separate slogans. Pick whichever one feels good that day. But watch the order again. Confidence, trust, dominate. Confidence is the raw material, the evidence file that tells you you're allowed to expect good golf from yourself. Trust is the mechanism, the decision made just once, and that you won't rethink over the ball. Dominate is the standard that governs everything upstream of the swing, the club selections, the targets, the moments you choose to attack, and the moments you choose to lay back. And golfers, if you take any one of the 3 away, the system will break. Confidence without trust is just hype that collapses under pressure. Trust without confidence is blind faith with nothing behind it. And dominate without the other 2 is recklessness wearing a motivational word as a disguise. Let's give you a little takeaway for you to use the next time you head out to the course. Here's the task, and it's smaller than you think. Don't write all 3 words on your glove this weekend. Pick just one. If your last few rounds have left you doubting whether you can actually play this game, your word is confidence, and your job is to go find 3 specific pieces of evidence from your own golf before you tee off. If you're technically sound, but you watch yourself second-guess a decision over every important shot, your word is trust, and your job is to make the decision earlier, further from the ball. So there's no time left to argue with it. And if you're already playing solid, forgettable golf, and you know you're capable of more, your word is dominate, and your job is to stop being satisfied with a round that just avoided disaster. So golfers, write it somewhere you'll actually see it. The glove works for a reason nobody talks about. You touch it before every single shot, which means the reminder shows up exactly when you need it, not a moment before. Okay, let's wrap all this up for you. Jackson KOIVUN didn't write those words during a slump. He wrote them during a run of the best golf of his life, because he already knew what worked. That's the real lesson here. The words don't create the game creates the words. Build yours the same way. If this is the kind of course management and mental game insights you're after, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.